Now, if you've watched my content at all, you probably know that I'm a bit of a goofy guy. To put it simply, I've screwed up before, and tons of those screw-ups have been in my shorts. That's disgusting. Be it talking about shinies or various Pokemon topics, I've been wrong plenty of times. So I thought, why not sit back and look at a few of those times when I made goofs. So recently I made a short talking about shiny frog Pokemon, and in there I said this. Tynamo gets a nice gold color. Now, astute viewers may have noticed, that's just not Tynamo, that's Tympole, a completely separate Pokemon. Now in my defense, I don't know why they would add two little fish Pokemon in Gen 5 whose names both started with Ty, but either way, I'm sorry. Now when I talked about Pokeballs, I talked about the fastball. Really niche Pokeball, but it serves its purpose, having a 4x catch multiplier on any Pokemon with over 100 base speed. But you see, in the video there's a picture of Metagross. Metagross has 70 base speed. Now I have an explanation for this one, I swear. I was looking at Mega Metagross' stats. Mega Metagross gets 110 base points in speed, so yeah, that was just me having bad eyes. Pokestar Studios. What a wonderful place that nobody ever went to. When I talked about it, I brought up Bryson Man, and when I did, I said this. Bryson Man. That's just straight up Bryson. I don't have an explanation for this one. That's not Bryson. The same way the Masked Royal isn't Kukui, and the way Clive isn't Director Clavel. So, there was another instance where I talked about Pokeballs, in which I said that the Park Ball has a 255 times multiplier. That isn't technically true. The way the Park Ball, and by extension the Master Ball, actually work is they bypass the formula entirely. They don't multiply anything, so I'll let you decide if I need to be reprimanded or not. In talking about Steel Shinies, I brought up Registeel, and I thought his shiny color was weird because it looked like oxidized copper. But instead of saying that Steel doesn't oxidize to that color, I just outright said, Steel doesn't oxidize. Period. What I meant to say was that Steel does in fact oxidize, that's what rust is, but it most certainly does not oxidize to that color. Got it? Great. In talking about amped up and low-key Toxtricity, I said that their only difference was the last move they learn. However, there are a bunch of minor differences that do separate them a bit. What form Toxtricity takes is dependent on Toxel's nature. So if you want to breed down the line for a Pokemon with a specific nature, you're gonna need either amped up or low key. But why would you even bother when mints exist? But also the amped up form gets plus as an ability, while the low key form gets minus. They're functionally identical, but it was worth pointing out, I guess. While I wouldn't call this a mistake, it was certainly something I could have mentioned. When talking about shiny Flamigo, I said this. Flamigo gets left out in the sun for a bit too long. Sorry, bud. Now, this shiny actually has a really interesting origin. Real flamingos only get their pink color by eating things like shrimp. When they don't have enough shrimp in their diet, or even when they're first born, flamingos have a white color to them. And considering the only shrimp Pokemon is Clawitzer, and I'd imagine that'd be a pain to eat, I'm surprised not all Flamigo are, white. Now, when talking about evil teams, I said this. Depending on who you ask, Team Mystic is an evil team too. Now, after some further consideration, I've come up with two alternatives. Depending on who you ask, Team Instinct's an evil team too. Or, depending on who you ask, Team Valor is an evil team too. Now we can all be happy. Also, another logo thing, I was still confused about Team Yell's logo, because from a lore perspective, it came first as a gym logo, not the Team Yell logo. So why would it be a Y, right? Well, somebody pointed out that that's actually a spiky mouth. Spikemuth. That blew my mind and also cleared up a lot of questions. When talking about Pokemon exclusive held items, I brought up Pikachu and its Light Ball. On screen, I showed a graphic of its physical and special attack being doubled, physical attack becoming 110 and special attack becoming 100. Well, that's not exactly how it works. You see, the Light Ball doesn't double the base stat, it doubles the final stat. What that means is everything is doubled after calculating IVs, EVs, nature, all those kinds of things. Thus meaning the highest stat a Pikachu can have, with the Light Ball equipped, is a physical attack stat of 458. Holy wow! That puts it just above Duskmane Necrozma and just below Hoopa. Too bad Pikachu's really frail and relatively slow, so it kind of sucks anyway. Another example of not really a mistake, but certainly an oversight, is when I said this. Zigzagoon is a nice shiny. Too bad you can't catch this one. When I said, you can't catch this one, I was referring to the one in the battle tutorial. I could have made that a lot more clear. Okay, now for the big one, the Black Shiny Pokemon Saga. I thought when I made part 2 that I had covered every Black Shiny there was. I wasn't covering things like Umbreon because that was black to begin with. Same with Luxray, the black is just a base part of the design. However, there are two Pokemon in particular that just completely slipped my mind. Those would be Espathra and Hisuian Braviary. I am just as baffled as you are because I think Hisuian Braviary's shiny is absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, Espathra exists, but it's still a black shiny that I missed. I'm pretty sure, however, that's all of the black shinies. Please tell me that's actually all of the black shinies. When talking about shiny Pikachu clones, I did deliberately leave out Mimikyu. It's really up in the air whether or not it counts as a Pikachu clone. Biologically, in the Pokemon world, it's just not one. It's a completely separate Pokemon that just happens to dress like Pikachu. And I stand by that, by the way. Meryl, however, I have less of an excuse for. I mean, most of its notoriety comes from the fact that it was called Pikablue at one point, so I really should have brought that one up. Hey look, it's even on an official trading card. Back when I was talking about green shiny Pokemon, I was trying to reason as to why some shinies were the way they were. Bronzong looks almost like ionized copper, Applin is a green apple, stuff like that. I did, however, question Spinda, asking why is it a puke green? Well, it's probably puke colored because it's dizzy, and it's probably about to puke. I could have used any other example. I could have used like Stantler or Poliwrath or something, but no. Now, my biggest blunders lie in the very first short I ever made. Top 5 worst Generation 1 shiny Pokemon. Now, this sure was a top 5 list. I had Victreebel on it. I could have put Gengar, I could have put Seal, but no. And I wasted the number 1 spot on a joke about Charizard. What was I thinking? Genuinely, what was I thinking? Either way, I mean, it's not like I'm gonna stop making mistakes anytime soon. Thank you guys for watching my stuff, and please point out any other time I make goofs. You know, like when I decide that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are the best Pokemon games ever made.